Hey guys, I'm Weather from the Summer School Discord, and today I'm going to be walking through a game of Katarina versus Syndra. Now, this is a pretty interesting lane, and overall, the game is going to be pretty interesting to follow in for this particular one. Mostly because of team comps and matchups, and just the champions that were chosen for both sides. So, one thing that I kind of like doing every time I start a review is I like going over win conditions, and that kind of gives you a broader idea of what you're going to need to be doing throughout the entire game, what lanes you need to get ahead, where you need to rotate to if you need to be playing to the jungle, if you can siege, which lanes you want to siege first, stuff like that. Um, so, for example, whenever you're playing with a Katarina or a Yasuo or something like these specific types of lanes, these assassins generally require a little bit more jungle presence, be it on your team or the enemy's team. And that's just because the only way a Katarina or a Yasuo or, these assassins type champions can win a lane is by going in. And if they go in, they've used their dashes and they're putting themselves halfway into the enemy's lane to try and get a kill or at least pressure the enemy out. And if the jungler shows up at the right time, that could mean the lane decided, just because the next time the Katarina or the Yasuo or whatever goes in, they kill the enemy carrier, the laner, before a jungler even can come to impact it. So that's an idea, and that's one great example that is actually in this game. But we're going to look at all of your overall win conditions because, especially as a game like this, playing as Katarina, you're going to want to be looking for which lanes you should roam to and how you need to be handling the jungle matchup. So we're going to look at win conditions. So for starters, looking at your team comp. Your team comp has a Singed who has a very awkward team fight, kind of just revolving around running away, a pretty solid split push, and pretty good anti-siege if it's just, one or two people against him. So he's a pretty decent tower holder, pretty decent tower taker, and just draws someone to his lane. Um, to counter that, he's playing against a Teemo who kind of wants to do the same thing. So this lane is going to be pretty much, can Teemo just kill the Singed before the Singed can actually get to him? Make it so that Teemo just wins the trade? Or can the Singed get to the point where he can just dive the Teemo? That's part of this lane. So now we're going to look at jungle. So the Zac is going to have a good long-ranged engage, and that changes his gank paths quite dramatically. If you were the enemy mid lane, you would have to be warding in very different spots to get proper protection. You can't play against a Zac and be aggressive unless you know exactly where he is, because he can just gank you from pretty much wherever. A Xin Zhao, however, has a very aggressive gank, and he has a very early game kind of just dueling spike. He's got Dark Harvest, so that might be a little bit negated and give him a little bit more late game. But the matchup for the jungle definitely favors the Xin Zhao early, and it's going to potentially trade to the Zac depending upon how ganks work out. A Katarina versus a Syndra is going to be an assassin matchup, and it's going to be dependent on who gets fed. The Katarina can theoretically outplay a lot of the Syndra's damage, but you can't outplay that R, and her Syndra's stun can pretty much hit you every time if she decides to save it for whenever you ult. And if you E on her and she just balls on herself, then that's a pretty easy stun to land. So it's a difficult matchup for the Katarina, but it's also a difficult matchup for the Syndra if the Katarina gets a little bit ahead. And the bot lane matchup is a very aggressive one for your team and a very aggressive one for the enemy team. Now, the best part about this for you as Katarina is none of these lanes have escapes. None of these lanes have escapes. So you need to be targeting which lanes you think you can get something from and what will do the most for your team. So overall, your team comp has an awkward team fight. Because of this, it would be good to put the Singed in a position where he could just split. If you can prevent them from actually getting a good team fight, then you're doing a good job. Your team has an awkward team fight, but a good awkward team fight. You just need it to land in the right order. because a Taric ult has a windup. But if someone gets stunned, they're from a Leona ult, they'll probably die anyways. If they get Syndra ulted, they'll probably die anyways. Zac has a very good ult to engage, but if they get counter-engaged on, or if you just get out DPS'd because their teamfight damage is pretty good, you're not really looking at this very well either. So I would be looking for an early-ish top roam this game. The bot lane should be in a position where they're able to stay pretty even, but I don't think that helping this lane will win it drastically because the Kallista's going to have to play safe so much into all of these characters wanting to get on her that the best way you could do it for this team comp is by getting someone who's tanky ahead that can zone out some of these people to make it so the Kallista gets range to just auto attack one at a time, basically. Alright, so that's my rant on the start of the game, win conditions, which is it's really important to try and get an idea of this. That's why I go over it every time. Something I also talk about every time, and I'm not going to go into it too deeply here because it's a really simple mistake, but it's incredibly annoying. Get out of base early. If you're not getting out of base early, you're putting your team at risk for invades, and if you're coming to coaching to look for tips to win games, that's a tip you should already know. And if you feel like that's not an impactful decision to make, then you're simply wrong. That's something that can win or lose a game. Not going to win or lose every game, sure. They didn't invade here. But if they did, and you weren't providing vision of, like, this bush, you see, the bot lane couldn't be providing tri-vision. Now your entire bot side jungle could have been invaded. And you're just standing at tower, which is also a problem. As I said, I'm not going to go too much into this, but you need to contribute a lot more at level 1 before the game even starts. Yeah, if you look at this, you probably could have shown up for the Teemo. I'm not sure if you would have gotten a kill, but it just gives you an example of something you could have done instead of being AFK. This is a terrible habit. I know I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but I really hate it when people do that. Okay, so level 1 is really important to decide how the pressure is going to be, whether the wave is going to push or freeze, whether or not you're going to get level 2 first to look for an all-in, and where you're going to get level 2. So your style so far is shoving the wave. Now, if you're shoving the wave, you need to be considering jungle matchup, and how that can play into this. And you need to be considering where you're going to be hitting your level 2 spike. If you hit your level 2 spike here, right, where the Syndra is playing this far back, she's not going to be in a position where you're able to engage on her. Yes, you can Q and yes, you can E, but the point of this power spike at level 2 is really to double proc your E. Because you're not going to be able to really get that second proc because she's already going to be under tower. You can't chase it the second time. So you ideally want the Syndra to be playing up a little bit more whenever you hit level 2. Even if that means she hits level 2 before you, I've already seen you dodge one of her Qs, you do have the ability to outplay some of her combo. Second part of that is the jungle matchup. Zac is not the type to gank early while, like, from red, he's not going to come mid. Xin Zhao is a mixed bag, and he also could be, he's probably starting this, he's probably going up here, and then he's going to be looking for a lane to gank. And if I was him, I'd be ganking mid. So you want to make sure whatever you do to this wave, it resets and bounces to you whenever he is supposed to be done clearing his camp. Which, a standard jungle clear, you can just watch this game, it's about 2.5 to 3 minutes, so you want your wave to be here at 2.5 to 3 minutes. This depends not only on how you push, but how it crashes and how the Syndra pushes. If the Syndra was to queue this wave, she would be able to freeze this in a good spot. Because you're not going to be able to push all of these casters in, and it will stop right here for the next minute. Right in front of her tower. See, now your wave is at a bad spot, and this is because of what you did. You're not able to do... Okay, do not... Did you just ward that? Yes, you did. Okay, so let me go into this type of ward. This is a problem ward. This type of ward is only an aggressive ward. It's never going to save your life. Maybe it will as Katarina, albeit, because you have your E to get out. But it's too late most of the time. This ward is an aggressive ward. This ward is where you put pink wards and where you create roaming opportunities or ganking opportunities. That's the only time you want to ward the side of your lane, if it's an aggressive ward. A safe ward like this is the same thing as if you were to ward basically over this wall, right? Because you're expecting the Zen to come after blue. Well, if the Zen comes after blue, he's going to do blue, he's going to do wolves, and he's going to come over, probably. Because he's not going to rush to Scuttle. Scuttle's not up. His only other option would have been to do Gromp, and even still, the odds of him doing Gromp and then wolves and then coming is higher. He's not going to do Grump and then all of a sudden change his mind and go and gank mid. He's too far away, really. So this is a very bad ward and is a waste of a resource for whenever he should be ganking you at 3 minutes to 3.5 minutes, where you should be warding over here. And this wave management, as I said, you froze it in a bad spot. Now the Syndra has complete control because you have to farm with an AoE Q in order to keep it underneath, so she can keep it exactly where she wants it. So you need to work on your wave management, and you're not last hitting. You chose to do this, which means you're not valuing a jumble. You're not evaluating, rather, the jungle matchup or where a wave's going to be. So you did end up catching Zen here, and he did do exactly what I said he probably wasn't going to do. He ended up doing Gromp and then coming to you. I don't think he should have done that, and let me explain why. So a gank like that is a cheese gank. And if you don't get something from a cheese gank, you're putting yourself behind. Both in clear speed and XP, your team as a whole, and money, it's a risky play. And even if you didn't have this ward, what would you be doing right now? This minion wave, right? You don't have to queue this right now. These minions you can escape to, and there's nothing really to be doing up here. If the Zen walks up, yes, you might have been in a little bit of trouble. But you see how he just walks away? Because it's a waste of time for him to sit here for this. Best case scenario, he gets your flash. He's not going to kill you here. That's a best case scenario. And again, the reason he was able to come and look for this was because he pushed the wave into a very good freeze for them. Yeah. And now you're stuck with this. This is all just that level 1. Alright. So you did manage to reset it, and she did not punish you at all for that, which is great. Now, if you're paying attention to where the timer should be, since Zen just did this cheese play and then went to his other camp, probably, just by judging by where he left. Also, unfortunately, the VOD thing, that the function, it shows which camps he's cleared, even though I have Fog of War turned on. But anyways, he should be clearing his camp, or his red buff, around 3.5 minutes, because again, this pathing put him a little bit behind. And now he's going to clear at the same speed as the Zac, if the Zac cleared correctly. And again, these are bad wards. Put them deeper. Look for further wards, because that way you can give yourself more warning. And if you're thinking that you can't go any deeper to ward because it's risky, then generally you shouldn't even be warding this, because you're just waiting for this wave to come into you, and he's not going to gank you again. There's no way for him to. Like, he can't get to you. You just got Vision of Zen, so now you can be looking to go aggressive, and that's exactly what you did, so this is exactly what you wanted to do here. If you're paying attention to the minimap, then you would know this was an excellent play to do. She gave you free damage, and you took it. You saw the Zen up here, and you played aggressive. That's exactly what you want to do. And now this should basically be a free kill as soon as you get your Thunderlures back up. I would be looking to queue her more aggressively, because you didn't... Okay. She should have been able to get out of that, I believe. But you should have queued her aggressively there instead of the wave. You don't need to look for that. He has red buff. He gives you so much free damage. Whenever you're recalling here and you just saw what happened, you saw the Zen was mid and you saw he just left towards bot side. Ping your bot lane. Just let them know. You're not really doing that. You should always let your team know that there's a potential roam coming in. An extension of that, this was an alright opportunity to roam. So whenever you have the wave right here, and you know Zen's leaving towards bottom, you either can try and follow and look for this aggressive play. Hopefully your bot lane can bait it, or you can be looking for something top. You know that Zach's up top, and Zach's in a position where he definitely can bait. He probably has his passive up, and he's low, and Teemo's up here. So you could use this as an opportunity where you know Zen's going bottom to go and roam top. Instead, you take your wave, you're not paying attention to the map at all, and you recall. And look where this Teemo is. Imagine if Zach elastic slingshot up here, knocked this guy up, did a little bit of extra damage, and you went in. Free. An extra kill. You need to pay more attention to the map as a whole. Whether or not that's pinging that your lane is potentially missing, or not necessarily your lane, but Zen was just here and left. Ping where you saw him leave to, you saw him head bottom, and manage your wave better. Those are some huge things that I'm noticing so far. You need to queue more aggressively again. You're missing free damage. Whenever she's standing that close and you can queue the wave or queue her, just queue her and then E onto the dagger and you'll clear the wave anyways, right? You're able to do quite a considerable amount of damage and you outlevel her. Or you did. And now you're just taking chip damage because, again, the only way Katarina wins these lanes is if she goes in. Okay, that you really couldn't have done anything about, but you are wasting some time here. Whenever you're given an opportunity like this, it may not be super apparent, but I would be looking at this as a roaming opportunity right now. Because this wave is going to push into the Syndra, and if the Syndra wanted to use her mana to clear this wave, it'd probably eat up about half of the mana she has left to push this fast and end up hitting your tower with it. And if she does that and you come back to lane without doing anything, you've already done a pretty damn good job because then she's in a worse position to trade with you in the future. It's the same thing as doing health damage basically because it will ultimately pay off in health. So go and look for your roam here and go try and get something bottom. Bottom is in a position where they can stun, they can bait, and you also can engage on a low health Jinx with no mobility. It's a very good opportunity to be looking down bottom right now. I would not be looking top because the Singe would definitely die if you tried to make this play right now. But this wave, as I said, is going to push into her. And it's going to take her some time to push it out, even though she has AoE. Because that's what she does. Watch. She's shoving this wave. Do you see how much time just passed? Like, without you doing anything to this wave, like 20 seconds. I wasn't actually counting. I'm tired. But it's about 20 seconds that you were just not doing anything, and you had a window to be doing something. Even if it didn't amount to anything, it's trying. It's putting yourself in a position to. And again, this wave did not end up in a bad position. You only would have missed out on maybe 3 CS. And you would have given yourself the chance to get something down here. And now you're playing way too safe in this lane. If you're playing this safe, you need to back and you need to get some magic resist so you can play up again. Because you're not going to win the lane like this. The way that you play, I definitely would suggest buying early resists for your matchup. Early like Negatron cloak or some shit will like help your lane out tremendously. And since you don't roam so far, that is an easy adaptation for you without changing your style. But you really do need to look for roams a lot more because Katarina only wins lanes when playing aggressive, and you need to know where the jungler is to play aggressive. Alternatively, you can create numbers advantages in other places, like down here looking for roams or up here looking for roams. Right now, you know this side of the map is completely safe, so kiting down like this is a great idea. The way that the Syndra goes aggressive on you here, I would be afraid of a Xin Zhao ganking. This is a great idea. And that's also a great idea to go back in on her because she just did use her W, and that has a considerable cooldown. I wouldn't have chased it that far, but I would have definitely looked to trade there. So your when lane just got shoved in, and you're playing Katarina again, you need a roam. This is an opportunity to roam, and you're sitting in your lane. You cannot do this. When your champion has so much potential to roam, you have like 6 dashes if you play it right and get all your resets. You got so much, and there's no reason for you not to. And I'm of course just kidding with 6. I'm throwing a number out there and it doesn't matter. But winning your lane is good. It's good. You know, you're doing a good job with getting kills and stuff like that, but you're not affecting the map at all. And you've had at least 2 opportunities to, and those 2 opportunities resulted, one of them in the enemy getting Infernal Dragon, and ultimately got a lot of tower damage down here in this tower because you didn't influence this lane. And the other opportunity up here ended up getting them a tower. So you have essentially, by not roaming, again, like exactly the level 1 thing, right? These are things that you're not doing that could give you chances to win, more opportunities to win. Because add up these 2 gold lead things. That's 300 a person, and there's 5 people. This is a 3,000 gold, not to mention first turret bonus and whatever Infernal Dragon's worth, right? At this point in the game, you've got your team 2 kills and a death, right? And a kill is worth 300 to 400 gold. Turrets are worth 1,500 gold. So you need to be doing way better in your lane if you're only focusing on your lane. If you can make map plays, like that I've been mentioning, this will help your style considerably. Roaming and adding this to your playbook. Every wave, every wave, look at the map. What's the top wave look like? What's the bottom wave look like? Where are they? Mid wave crashes at a different time than these other waves. So you should be able to clear yours first, essentially, and still be looking while they're on theirs. And you don't even have to clear the whole thing. It just has to be in a position where they can't clear it back to you. And you know, your problem also is with warding. Because your wards that you've put down so far, the ones that you did put down were too safe and would not have warned you in a proper amount of time. But also, you're not really you don't buy pink wards, which is going to help you if you wanted to play towards an aggressive roaming style or ward these things. You could also ward out deeper, which would provide you more protection. And whenever you're going for an aggressive play like that, your matchup, Katarina versus anyone, is incredibly dependent on where the jungler is. Your trades, the first one was okay, Xin Zhao was up here. That's how you ended up with your first kill, basically. Your second kill, you ended up with trading 1 for 1, but the Xin Zhao, would have all been all the way over here whenever you went in, and you had your E reset to get out again. So that's why I thought that that was a safe, and that's also why I wouldn't have chased. This time you go in and you get punished for it because you don't have vision, you're not paying attention to jungle timers or tracking him at all, and you just are unaware of the map. Every wave, look at the map. Every wave. Where can you help? And now you're looking to roam whenever there's nothing up here. And you leave this. Like, do you see what happens here? You say, oh, my team's going to siege. I should leave. I'm going to go kill that full health Teemo. There's no reason to be doing this. Like, your Singed is up now. Where's he going to go? Right? There's no reason for you to be looking for this roam because there's no numbers advantage over here, no objective to protect, no objective to get because the wave is all the way over here, and you lose this, potentially. These kills, you're not getting. You just needed 1 Q on that. It ended up giving it to you anyways. You really didn't deserve those. What is going on here? Okay, that's just silly. Now, I understand your mentality was, I'm going to go protect that turret, and that's why you went up there to begin with. Well, Singe should have gone up there, and the Singe did go up there, and the Singe died. So, that's something that, I really can't say anything about. That's an okay idea to be going over there now. You didn't really get there in time to protect anything, and you missed your opportunity to get something, but overall it was okay. Playing respectful here is very good. Your team walks that out really nicely. Okay. Yeah, you guys, if you want to see like a very quick and dirty way of how you won that, count the health bars that are blue and not count over here, right? Your entire team is over here, basically. Your entire team is over here. Of course you're going to win that fight. Rotating mid here is actually a really excellent idea as long as someone goes back. You need probably 2 people to base, and if your team pushes for this, it's not going to be worthwhile. You have to go and help that. Yep. Excellent call. You should have probably been here sooner even, judging by what your team was doing, because now you're not going to be in time to save the turret. Well, I guess you are. Never mind. Their Xin Zhao does way less turret damage than I expected. Waiting is good. You didn't have any vision of them. You don't need to be walking top here. They got 3 people. You didn't know where anyone was. You only had 1 person on your team up there. Pay attention to vision whenever you're going to roam like this. Like, the biggest thing that, like, won you your last fight, right? The one that you won over here, was you had 5 people. Simple as that. And if you're going into somewhere, start playing the counting game. And this is one of my favorite little lectures. Before you do anything, count 2 ways. First, you're going to count the maximum amount of enemies that could be there. Now, whenever you have no one on the minimap, that's 5. Whenever you have one person on the minimap down here and they just leave, unless they got teleport, you know it's like 4, okay? Because there's 4 over here, one of them was just down and then they just left. If they have teleport, you're going to still count that as 5, because he can show up. So it's still 5. If you see that there's their bottom lane down here, and their top laner's over here, and their mid laner is here, but you don't know where their jungler is, guess what? There are 2 people in your lane. Because you don't know where it is. You count the maximum that could be there. That's how you're going to know when to trade. That's how you're going to know when to roam. It's how you're going to know everything. What's the maximum amount of people? Second way is, what is the minimum amount of people for your team that are going to be there? The minimum. You see, we're doing it differently here. Because if Singe dies, like he did, there's 0 for your team here. If you show up, that's going to be a 1 versus maximum 5. You don't want that. You don't want that at all. Don't look for it. So that's how you count. You count the maximum, then you count the minimum. Minimum is also something as simple as positioning. When you choose to go in, if your AD carry is, you know, a hop, skip, and a jump away from the team fight, that's enough to do like 4 autos. That's going to potentially cost you the fight. Pay attention to things like positioning, because then you're going to have to count them as 1 less too. Yeah. That was fine. There wasn't really anything on the map that they could have done after you had killed their important people. You killed their carry and their tank, so to go for an extra kill didn't really hurt anything. Um, it was a little bit greedy, but it wasn't bad. You always got to think about what can be done after. I haven't seen you place down a ward in a while. Yeah, you have 2 wards in your inventory. You need to use those. Again, that is a problem of yours. You don't really need to be looking up for the Jinx. Even if the Jinx is left alive, if she's not in a team fight, she's not contributing. So zone her out and go towards the main fight. You have your resets. You can get back on her if she chooses to go to you. But because you were left for that, potentially they lose over here. See? Potentially 2 people died over there when no one had to die for your team. Yes, you ended up with 1 more kill, but if they killed 2 people from your team and you got 1 more kill, that's not a fair trade. Because again, the Callista, you lost your Baron control. You don't have your DPS. Now, where were you this whole time? Base? That's not bad. I don't really know why they were over here to begin with. There's no objective to be contesting or anything. This is a standard kind of low elo fight where there's no reason to be here, nothing to get, and people are just fighting. Even if this fight wins or loses, it doesn't really matter because there's nothing over here. So you going in and dying, again, there's nothing over here. Baron's over here. This is what you should care about. The wave is down here. This is what you should care about. The wave is smack in the middle of the lane. You're not going to get a turret out of it. The only thing that you might have been doing is stalling for Singed. And that's not really important right now because Singed should be pushing this lane so you can get Baron control. Baron's super important, especially with the buffs that they give it. So you ended up trading 1 for 1 with your little funky play earlier. Not just you, team-wide. You didn't need to pursue it. You probably could have done something over here. with the one or two people that decided to push. Catching bot wave is okay since your team doesn't have TP. It's not really safe for even the Singe to go down there. You are a lot more helpful in team fights right now, though, judging by how fed you are. So I would be clearing this wave out quickly and looking for Baron. You need to be on this side of the map with how fed you are. You see the Jinx is up here, CSing, so this is a free fight. Uh, you really do need to be building some sort of magic resist this game. I would be prioritizing it a lot more than you are currently because they have so many champions that are the fed ones, right? Their damage is AP. They got a Teemo who's fed, and you stepped on a shroom and you felt it. They got a Syndra with Void Staff. She's also going to do some damage to you. Jinx is like a non-issue, basically, with the way she's been playing. Yeah, their team really doesn't know how to respond to your random pressure. You've got a Singed who's able to get away with so much this game. Um, this is kind of funky. So just to go into strategy here, because it's not really happening where I can comment on something that should be happening. This is all kind of just silly. You need someone to create a slow push bottom so that way you don't have to be here and have the wave crash with a shitload of minions on this tower in like 2 minutes. There are plenty of videos online on how to set up split push and slow pushes. So you can do this and set up a slow push. After that, you're going to buy a pink ward and you're going to pink ward Baron. You're then going to push in mid or top to get these waves to a point where you're able to be up here while waiting for this wave to come in. Once this wave is about here, you will have the enemy team get antsy and want to show up for this huge minion wave. Once their team starts rotating towards this, which you can guess will happen, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't matter, you're still over here and you're still ready to start this Baron. If they decide to come stop you at the Baron, you just take the team fight and you have a numbers advantage and a gold advantage already in this game and you'll win, and then you'll get Baron anyways and you'll push. If they try and steal Baron, then instead you're going to engage on them and you're going to just kill them and take the Baron afterwards. It's just the way that this play kind of works. If they choose not to come, or if they choose to come. If all 5 of them come, that's the situation where you back off, you let the Baron reset, and you wait for the wave to crash. And you reset the play if you need to. Also, since you have vision control over here with pink wards, they would have to check blindly, and they wouldn't know when to steal if you have pink wards, which is exactly why you have a pink ward on this. So that's the play you should be doing. That is how you will close out this game. All you need to do is ping assist me on the Baron and buy a pink ward, and I assure you this play can happen with you slow pushing bottom. Slow push bottom and buy a pink ward, ping Baron, and this play will happen. Right now, your guys are just looking for team deathmatch plays. This whole thing is just kind of looking for a chaotic finish to the game. You have no waves over here. There's nothing to siege. You're just looking for kills. This is silly. Yeah, this whole thing is silly. You don't have any waves. And here's your chaotic into the game. After that, they now have the numbers advantage that they created by killing you guys, and they're heading over to Baron, and they get Baron, and they win the game. You could have set this play up very easily if you had been a little bit more patient and let this wave come in. Instead, you guys were just running down mid without everyone there. And whenever you do that, you're not only not getting anything, but you're not in a position to take anything anytime soon. So you're risking something for nothing, and it didn't pay out. It's cheese. It's the same thing as this ward and this gank that he tried. It's cheese. It doesn't work out, and it hurts you sometimes. When it works out, great. You'll get that kill. You'll come back and you'll start pushing in this wave, and there's like a 20% chance you end up taking this turret. Sure. But if you want something consistent, do what I suggested. And okay, so yeah, I'm gonna stop the review here, and I'm gonna go through highlighting what I think you should work on. I would adapt your build to a little bit more defensive, both for your laning phase and also your later game. I would be looking in team fights to be going on the team fight aspect. If you are able to zone someone out, then accept that you're zoning them out, but be looking more also to peel because your carry Callista provides a lot of objective control that you could use. Um, Letting her die like that, you are sacrificing your AD carry for their AD carry essentially, and that might work sometimes, but your AD carry was more valuable this game than theirs. So I would have been trying to protect yours more than I would be trying to kill theirs. I would also be looking to change the way you're warding. I mentioned this several times, and if you want the summaries, I'm not going to really give it to you. Go back to earlier in the video where I highlighted locations, and I would be happy to point out in messages where you can ward for certain situations. You're going to have to be better about setting up slow pushes in bottom wave and setting up for Baron control to try and close out games. The nature of this Elo kind of is just to look for chaotic fights. But if you buy a pink ward and you ping and you set up the slow push already, no one's going to look for that chaotic fight. They're going to just come because no one's going to be dumb enough to come to this wave and push at this point. They might whenever it's over here, but if you're the one over here, you set up the slow push, they're not going to be here. Then you're going to look for the Baron. And finally, your early level 1, whenever you're both pushing in the wave and whenever you're not present in the game for the first like 30 seconds of the game to a minute of the game, those things you need to work on. Your wave management needs working, because you let the wave freeze here. This goes into both trading, it goes into pushing, it goes into evaluating jungle pressure, and a lot more. But in summary, you need to know when to push. And in a matchup like this, your jungle was going to be behind, and you were more likely to get ganked than to be ganked for. Because of that, you needed to play this lane safe until you knew where Zen was. You attempted to track him a few times with this random ward and this random ward, but you still ended up dying to him because you weren't warding enough. And you ended up dying to him when you went aggressive, so you need to understand the importance of knowing where he is when you do that. Because the first time, you got the kill for free. The second time, you overchased and you traded 1 for 1. The third time, you went in and you died because Zen was here, right? You're starting to understand a little bit more. Trading patterns are kind of important to get. You chased a little bit too far, but I don't think it really mattered this time. That was not a bad. The second kill for the first death was fine. You need to work on your roaming. You pay attention zip to the map, not at all. You don't do anything for the map or anything for your team. You're going on the Jinx, for example, whenever you could be peeling. You're not looking for roams whenever the enemy is pushed in and your wave, you have nothing to do for 20 seconds. You look to stay for 2 minions and then recall instead of looking for a roam top to save a turret. So yeah, you got to pay a lot more attention to the map. Every wave, pay attention to the map. Yeah, your trading is okay. I would be looking a little bit more aggressive on your Qs whenever you aren't going to get that much minion aggro, but besides that, it's fine. Your mechanics are fine, and that's not really something I comment on anyways. Yeah, alright. That's the end of this review. I hope some of that's helpful. Glad I got to it in time.